Welcome, my ladies, to Training Tuesday. It is 6 o'clock East Coast time. We are here in the very frigid Northeast. That is where I am at tonight. And I'm trying to set this up so hopefully I can see your comments. As you guys know, sometimes Facebook is a little fickle with me, but I'm sorting it out here. Okay, so my question for you tonight is, are you hot? Right? It is very frigid here in the Northeast. I woke up this morning and I probably shouldn't, but the first thing I always do when I wake up in the morning is I literally say, "Hey Alexa, what's the weather today?" Like I don't know that it's winter, right? Oh, and she's giving me the weather report. This morning, she said it's 12 degrees. And I just went, "Oh no. No, 12 degrees. I don't need to get out of bed today." But I don't. Hold on. Alexa, stop. I shouldn't have said her name, right? Of course, that's going to happen when I go live. The point is, we need to feel hot and sexy and comfortable in our own bodies, regardless of what the temperature is outside. And we're going to talk tonight about the heart chakra, which is all about feeling hot and sexy and comfortable in our bodies, but it's also all about how we manage our relationships with other people, including, because this is accelerating leadership for professional women, our coworkers and our bosses and our teams, but also including our partners and our friends and ourselves, most of all. So when I ask the question, are you hot? And I ask the question, did you watch the Betty White video? I posted the Betty White video in one of the promos for tonight, and it's the video of Betty White singing about how hot she is, even though she's a golden girl. And when you watch that video, I guarantee we have no problem going, "You go, Betty. You are super hot." Of course you are. You look amazing. I think she made the video. I have to look at what year actually she did that. I think she made the video when she was still in her 80s, maybe. She might have been as old as 90. I don't know. But we have no problem looking at Betty White singing this song about being hot and being sexy and going, "You go, Betty. You own that," right? We love that. But how often do you look in the mirror and say that about yourself? And do you have to be like all dressed up to the nines and ready to hit the town in order to feel that way? Because for some of us, it's been a long time since we've gotten all dressed up and hit the town, right? Like COVID and everything has kind of put a damper on that sort of thing. So I want to talk tonight about how you say that about yourself, how you feel that about yourself, because it's the how we feel about ourselves that impacts the way that we have relationships with other people, that impacts who we create bonds with, how deep do those bonds do we create, stuff like that. When I was in college, I had a girlfriend who was far wiser and far more experienced than me take me out into, I was in college on the West Coast for a while, so she took me out to the clubs in San Francisco. And so we would go to the nightclubs and we would go dancing. And she would always say to me, "You are the ice queen. You need to smile more." This is before we had the phrase RBF, right? Resting bitch face. I clearly had that mastered at the age of 19. But she used to tell me all the time. And I remember probably scowling at her, going whatever. But I do remember one night I decided, you know what? I'm going to give it a try. And so we were at a club and I just started trying to smile, put a smile on my face. And it felt unnatural. Like parts of this felt really unnatural. But the thing that happened that night that had not happened any other night that we'd gone to this club, and we went to this club every weekend. This was my sophomore year of college. No, my freshman year into sophomore year of college. Every weekend we were at the same club. But that was the night that I met a bunch more people. Like both men and women were now coming up and talking to me and wanting to dance. And every time I'd gone to the club, I'd found somebody and I danced with somebody before, but like I felt inundated with people. All because I smiled. All just because I smiled. So it got me thinking as I got older, like that trick of smiling, even though I didn't really feel like smiling and I didn't know who I was smiling at or why I was smiling. But that trick created something. right? Because they do, right? The old adage is when you're in a bad mood, you force yourself to smile and it lifts your spirits, right? Force yourself to smile, force yourself to laugh, force yourself to shift your energy, and that lifts your spirits. And it works. As goofy and as trite as that sounds, it actually works. Um, so it was a trick I started to use when I got older in my career and I was attending networking events. And I don't know about you, but I always hated networking events, hated them. I didn't want to go meet a bunch of people I didn't know. I didn't want to go smile at a bunch of people I didn't know. Um, I just, I don't know. I just felt like things should just happen. I'm terrible at networking events because I have to think of small talk and I hate small talk. I don't want to talk about the weather. I don't want to talk about, I don't know, something like we're scraping sometimes for things we have in common. But I learned at networking events, just like I learned at the nightclub at 19, that when you walk in the room with a smile and with this open-hearted energy that you're just there to receive whatever happens, you meet people. Things happen. It really does work that way. But it's not an easy lesson because it can be so uncomfortable when you're not first, when it's not natural to you. I have some friends who smiling is very natural to them. It is their resting face position, is with a smile on their face, and I envy them. To me, that's just automatically reflective of somebody who has a really open heart. Um, and I have to work at it. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about working at it and how we can work at it and what it means and how it impacts all of our relationships. So not just the romantic relationships, right, which is kind of where we go when we start thinking about the heart chakra, right, is we think immediately about intimate relationships, but it actually impacts our friendships, it impacts casual relationships, it impacts our work relationships, all of that. So before I dive in, I want to say good evening. Hello, everybody. I'm so glad to have you here. My name is Natalie Hahn. I am CEO of Dirty Girls Consulting. If you have not joined us before, it is Training Tuesday, and you are here in our group, Accelerating Leadership for Professional Women. We are here every Tuesday to talk about a different training topic, and for the last couple weeks and for the next couple weeks, we're focused on chakras, the energy around our chakras, and how we can use this energy to our benefit. So I say this every week. I'll say it again quickly this week. This is not a discussion about religion or changing your philosophical point of view. When I'm talking about the chakras, what I'm trying to do is give you a focal point of where to put your energy and how to think about your energy, because we have all these different types of energy in us. It's a tool. We use it all these different ways. And what the chakras help us do, no matter what your position is or your on religion or philosophy, is it gives us both a concept, a theme, and a location on which to focus our energy so that we can work on that particular intention. Right, with the root chakra, our intention is around safety and security and stability. And with the sacral chakra, right, we're focused on our emotions and managing emotions. Our solar plexus, we talked about last week, is where our confidence, right, and our sense of self comes from. And this week, our heart chakra, we're going to focus our energy around how do we connect with ourselves and with other people. So it's great to see you all in the chat. Hello, I see everybody's there. I see Joyce and Jackie and Carla and Teresa and Christine. Yay! And Rachel's here. Excellent. Hi, everybody. I'm going to try to keep following the comments. So if I'm looking off screen a little bit, it's because I am trying to follow the comments. So definitely ask your questions, speak up, share your ideas, share your experiences as I talk through this. I always invite you to do that because the more conversation we have, the more fun it is for both of us. But let's dive into the heart chakra. So the heart chakra, what is it? What does it impact, right? So this is the energy that we talk about centering literally around our heart, right, in the center of our chest. It's called anahata, right? Anahata. And this is the energy that dictates how we show up for ourselves, how we show up in relationship with other people, which means this is the energy that drives how we show up in the world and how we interpret the world. This is the energy that gives us a particular lens around how we interpret other people, how they respond to us, how we react to them. This is the energy through which we form connections. It's associated with a sense of compassion, tenderness, love. It's all those good things, right? And it's also our ability to both give and receive, right? How open and how flowing our heart chakra is, that energy is all about our ability to receive, not just give. Not just be open, but take in what other people have to offer. So if we think about this in a work context, what does this mean at work, right? We're talking about love. We're talking about love with our coworkers. Well, some of us love our coworkers. Some of us don't. Just depends on where you're at. But it does color how we relate to people at work. And whether it's our bosses or our coworkers or our teams, how open, flowing the relationship we have with ourselves and our heart chakra does define the kind of bonds we create with our coworkers. Now, COVID, this whole COVID situation, that is still going on because I think every other person I know has had some experience with COVID over the last month, right? It's changed holiday plans, it changed New Year's resolutions. So it's still a situation. COVID was a huge stress on the heart chakra. Because when you think about the fact that this is the energy we use to connect with other people, and COVID has been all about what? Quarantine. Been very hard to connect with other people when you don't do it in person anymore. You have to do it over a video, right? Over a Zoom call. It's a different way of creating connection. So certainly the last couple of years has made it more difficult to create a bond with a coworker, right? So questions I want to ask you about where you've been in terms of your heart chakra and at work are around, how patient are you with your coworkers? How patient have you been with them and with questions that they've asked or things that they've been working on? How much time have you taken to really build those connections, to establish a relationship with coworkers, with your boss, with your team members, especially given that many people are still working remotely, right? How hard is it to work with a new employee, right? A new coworker when you've never met them in person? You've only met them over a Zoom or over the phone. How accepting have you been of other people's ideas, of their points of view, of limitations even? Because when we're in alignment with our heart chakra, when that's all open and flowing, we feel physically healthy and energetic. We feel like we are and will be resilient to anything that comes at us, right? We're filled of heart energy that's also understanding and compassion. It's tolerance and patience because we have an open heart to allow other people to be exactly who they are, which means we are also accepting of ourselves exactly as we are. So an open heart chakra is an open mind, open to ideas, open to opportunities. It's where we're able to actually really see out of the box thinking because we've opened up our heart to accepting that there are other people with other points of view and other ways of looking at things and evaluating things. So let me know in the chat if any of you have found this last year, last 2 years, COVID or not, maybe not even tied to COVID, but challenging in terms of feeling like you can really create bonds with your coworkers, that you can trust people at the other side of the Zoom call to do what they say they're going to do or show up the way you think they're going to show up. I'm curious if the challenges of a heart chakra have been a challenge for you. And I'm going to go through some of the different ways it shows up when our heart chakra is either overstimulated or undersupported. And some of those might be familiar to you. So I'd love to hear which ones resonate with you. Because when our heart chakra is out of alignment, what happens is our little inner child, right, gets triggered. The childhood traumas, feelings of rejection, fear of abandonment, these things that we kind of associate more with our childhood traumas get triggered. And when those emotions come up, right, if our heart chakra is underactive, we start to feel shy. We feel fearful of other people that they might hurt us, right? We are lonely. We feel like we're unlovable, unapproachable. And because we feel unlovable and lonely, we start to self-isolate, right? We take ourselves out of the equation because we don't want to get hurt anyway. And then we get judgmental of other people. We start judging them for for what they bring to the table, because it's not exactly in alignment with what we think it should be, right? These are the kinds of behaviors that close off our heart, right? We're afraid of being hurt, so we self-protect by building up walls. So that's when our heart chakra is under supported. So Teresa says her new job is challenging because of working remotely. Yes. And others are working in person. So that, see, and I think that's hard too. I had a conversation a couple months ago with a young woman who's was in a similar situation where some coworkers had spent some time together and created a bond. And then when she comes into the picture later, they've already bonded, they've already hung out together. She's like the third wheel, and you have to create a new dynamic, because up until that point they had all only met remotely. So in person really does make a difference, and it is hard on how much we're willing to open up ourselves to that connection. Christine, I have a mean, condescending coworker. Ugh, hate that. Sick of it. And I think that's the hard part, Christine, right? There is a point where there are boundaries, and how you draw that boundary, the way you draw that boundary is actually treating yourself and your heart, supporting you and your heart chakra energy, as opposed to thinking that because we put somebody in their place that somehow we're being mean and we're doing something against the heart chakra. It's actually the opposite. Problem is she's buddies with the boss. That is the worst. But you may not be stuck, so we should talk about that. So when the heart chakra is underactive, right, that's the one angle that we go. Thank you guys for sharing that. Actually, that's really helpful, because what happens too, I think, and Christine, I don't know if this is what you experience, but when we feel like somebody is being condescending and kind of picking on us or being mean, two things happen. One is the first one, where our heart chakra is underactive, so we shut down, we isolate. We judge our coworkers, we avoid asking for help, we avoid interacting with others. We're afraid of being judged. We're already judging them. We're not building any sense of teamwork. If we're overstimulated, if the heart chakra is overactive, it can show up in a slightly different way, which is we're still judgmental, right? That just goes with it. We're still judgmental, but we lack the boundaries, right? We lack, I mean, Kristen, you've hit your boundaries clearly from what you've written here, right? You've hit your boundaries. So now it's just figuring out what's the best way to instill those and put those in place firmly with these people. But when our heart chakra is overactive, we have this desire to fix everything and to help everybody, right? We have no boundaries. And so we become this sort of self-sacrificing. We spend all our time and all of our energy with all of this empathy helping the other people. And so we've lost our boundaries altogether. When our heart chakra is overactive, we become clingy. We can be jealous. We are trying to stay hyper connected to what is to what we want. We don't want to lose it. We're fearful of losing it. It is a dynamic that will keep us stuck in abusive relationships. It will keep us stuck in abusive patterns, because we're overgiving. We're so overgiving at that point, and we're bought into this pattern. This is the only way to keep it going. Now, at work, that shows up as we're doing other people's jobs for them. We're listening to their stories and their negative energy spiral far too long, and we're supporting them in that spiral. We're taking the abuse. So Christine is taking the abuse right now from somebody who's being mean. What did you say? I'm afraid to go into her area. Yeah, because you don't want to deal with her. Why would you want to deal with her, right? Of course. When our heart chakra is overactivated, we're putting all our energy to making ourselves indispensable. And that's why we're overgiving. That's why we have all this extra empathy. We think it's empathy, and we're giving, and we're supporting, and we're making sure they can't live without us. Because we have this, like I said, childhood trauma is triggered, right? We end up with this fear of abandonment. So lots of ways that the heart chakra, when it is underactivated or overactivated, puts us in patterns that actually isolate us, that are actually unhealthy for our relationships, and we end up creating very narrow relationships and not very deep bonds, not honest bonds, not trusting bonds, right? They're not based on any of those qualities that when we talk about having relationships and deep relationships, what do we say? Honesty, integrity, trust, right? Those are not part of our relationships when our heart chakra is out of alignment. Instead, it's need. and it's fear. So let's talk about how we balance this out. How do we get ourselves to a place where we can create the healthy boundaries, where we can both open up our heart and have the confidence and the faith that we are resilient to whatever gets thrown at us, right? That we can handle it. We can manage the hurt. Because with the heart chakra, the fear of the hurt is what keeps us playing small. It's this idea that if I open myself up to you, if I trust you, if I let you in, you will hurt me. And we need to get to the other side of that that says, and if you hurt me, I will still survive. I will still be okay. In fact, I will still be good. We need to get to the other side of the equation that where we realize that it is not about trusting other people. Anytime we talk about having trust issues, because we don't trust anybody, they don't do what they say they're going to do, they don't live up to what they promise, it is never actually about the other person. Because most of the time when we're saying that about people that we haven't even given them the chance to prove whether or not they're a good friend or a good partner or a good boss or a good coworker. We're so busy protecting ourselves, we don't give them the chance to screw it up. That's not a lack of trust of them. That is a lack of trust of ourselves. That is where we do not trust ourselves to be resilient, to get through it should something go wrong. Once you have trust in yourself that you can own your heart, that you can own your emotions, you can own your feelings, you can own being hurt and get through it and be better, smarter, wiser for it, and still be loving and open, that's when your heart chakra is truly open. That's when you win. Because then you're realizing that being open-hearted, right? Oftentimes we qualify being open-hearted and being trusting and being loving like, oh, but you're so naive. Because people are mean. Because people do mean shit. Because you're going to get hurt. Yeah. But that's just kind of the truth in life. We're going to get hurt. People are going to lie to us. Some people are going to cheat. People are going to be mean. That is the truth of it. The only part we control is how we respond. And if we respond by closing off ourselves and closing off our heart, we never get to the relationships that have the deep bonds and the trust and the openness and the support and the love that we're actually craving and that we're looking for. You can't have it both ways. You can't wall yourself off and protect yourself and at the same time have these deep, open, and loving relationships. To have the deep, open, and loving relationships, you have to trust yourself enough to know when I get hurt, I will be okay. It will hurt and it will suck and I will still be okay. So if we're going to bring our heart chakra back into alignment, and you know what, do me a favor, if in the chat, just drop a yes if what I just said about trusting yourself makes sense to you. If you can understand that what I'm talking about when we open our heart chakra, what I'm talking about when I say you're sexy, you're hot, you're amazing. I don't care if you just got up and your hair is sticking straight up in the morning. That's you, and that's freaking amazing. That's all about trusting yourself. It literally has nothing to do with other people's judgments and perceptions of you. It is about trusting yourself. And Joyce, you're absolutely right. The idea that we don't trust other people because what we don't trust is that we've picked good people, right? If you've been in the situation where you've dated somebody and they were horrible to you, what happens? You say to yourself and you say to all your friends, I can't pick good guys. I pick losers. I pick cheaters. I pick liars. Right? We don't trust ourselves. We need to find our ways to turn that energy around to say, didn't pick such a good one that time. It doesn't mean I'm going to pick a bad one the next time. It doesn't mean the next boyfriend, the next spouse, partner, the next best friend, the next boss, the next coworker. It doesn't mean that the next one is going to suck. I had this in my head for a long time, honestly, about bosses. I went through 3 CEOs in a row, who were like the worst possible bullies. They were horrible. And I was literally going, I can't pick a CEO to save my life. I'm working for all these jerks. What is wrong with me? Right? And what I had to do was some reflection on what qualities did these people have in common? What should I be looking for in my discussions with them before I agree to work for them? What are some questions I should be asking? And how am I going to respond differently next time this happens? Because I'm not going to be able to end the world of all the bullies and all the CEOs who I think are jerks, but I can change the way that I show up now when I find myself in that relationship. Okay, let's get to some of the tools here. The tools for your heart chakra. And thank you. Okay, the yeses are good, so thank you for that. And if you have questions about what I mean by that, or I need to explain that more, just shoot them in the chat. So first of all, heart chakra, center of your heart, the energy is right here in your chest. One of the things to pay attention to when you're feeling anxiety and stress, right? When I work with clients about they're having a moment of anxiety or a moment of stress, one of the questions I ask them is, where are you feeling it in your body? I know when I feel the constriction in my chest. It's all tight, I can't breathe, I feel like there's a weight sitting on it, then I know that whatever's triggered me has hurt me here in my heart. It's an emotional hurt. If my throat feels tight and my throat closes, I'm having a communication issue. Right? Like literally physically, but I'm also, it's like there's something I need to say and I can't say it. It's stuck. But if it's here, there's something in my heart that's hurting. There's something in my trust, my sense of trust, that has been chipped out. That's where I feel that. So the color for the heart chakra is green. Ironically, also the color for jealousy. Go figure. The other color people will use for heart chakra is pink, because pink is associated with the feelings of love and compassion. But the traditional color, if you're looking at your typical chakra charts, you'll see right in the heart center is green. If we're going to talk about foods that are healthy for your heart and your heart chakra, then you should be eating things like grapes and kiwi and avocado, so rich, juicy green foods. Movement. You guys know I'm a huge fan of two things when it comes to shaking up your energy and moving your chakra energy. And one of them is dancing. So always dance to just shake up and loosen that energy. And the other is yoga. So some yoga poses that help with opening up the heart chakra. And child's pose. Probably one of my favorite poses. It's a total relaxation pose, right? Is you are on your mat. Again, I'm not going to demonstrate, but you're on your mat, you're on your knees. You are bending over your knees with your forehead on the floor. Your arms can be reaching forward or your arms can be reaching behind you. You can do it either way. But child's pose is a complete relaxation pose. That is a pose about openness, right? You are essentially completely relaxing and opening yourself up to the world. Shavasana is actually a great heart opening pose, because typically in Shavasana, any Shavasana pose you want to do, it works. But your typical Shavasana pose, which is your resting pose, is something like corpse pose, where you are laying, the point of Shavasana is you are sitting or laying in a way where your chest is open and exposed. So corpse pose, you're laying on the mat, your feet are straight, your arms are straight down by your sides with your palms up. You are open and receiving. That's what that's about. Camel pose is another heart opening pose. So with camel pose, you're on your knees. So you would be on your mat, on your knees, and you would reach back and grab your feet. So it's a back bend pose. So you're reaching back at your feet and you're arching up your chest and opening it up to the sky. So look up camel pose online also. Again, 3 poses you can use, which are just meant to open your body, release energy, and open up your heart. The mantra for your heart chakra is yam, right? That's the vibrational sound for opening your heart. So if you're going to simply use a basic sound mantra when you're meditating or trying to bring yourself back to grounding, the sound is yam. Mantras, phrases, right, that you would use if you need to ground yourself because you are feeling insecure, you are feeling needy, you are feeling possessive, judgmental, right? Any of these things where your heart chakra is out of alignment, mistrustful of others. We ground ourselves with statements that are all about grounding ourselves back to a state of love. And I know it sounds hokey, and I've talked about this before. I know that sometimes mantras sound hokey, but they work. And the point of the mantra is when you have the negative thought appearing, right? The nasty thought about somebody else, or the judgment about yourself, or the I am lonely, or I am sad, or I am not worth anything, right? When those childhood triggers come up, you use the mantra as a sentence to pull you back and ground you into the current present moment, but to bring you also to that place of peace. So your mantra for the heart chakra might be, I love myself wholeheartedly. It might be, my heart is open and free. What we're trying to do is release the negative, heavy emotional energy that is clustering up our heart. And repeating the mantra to breathe through it and to open it up, right? So you take your deep breath and you say, I am fully open to receiving love. We're trying to clear the negative energy of our heart, and we're trying to focus on the idea that the universal term of love, right? That we are open and receiving to that. Like I said at the beginning of this, a big part of opening our heart chakra is not just the giving of love, it is the willingness to receive love. You guys know I'm a fan of mudras. When I meditate, I love to use mudras. Mudras are hand positions, and the idea is that with the nerves, right, the sensitivity in our hands, we can also help move our energy. So 3 mudras I wanted to share with you quickly tonight. Hridaya mudra is one for releasing heavy emotions, reducing anxiety, moving yourself to having a more open heart. And what it looks like is you take your index fingers and you fold it down, right, to the, what do you call that? The medius man, right? The chunky part of your thumb. You fold it down. Your middle finger and your ring finger go to your thumb. Your pinky fingers straight out. Okay? So index finger down, your 2 middle fingers to your thumb, pinky fingers straight out. This is the Hridaya mudra. Then you take your hands with the palms up like this, and you put them on your knees. Assuming that you're sitting, say, in lotus position, or even if you're just sitting upright in a chair, you rest your hands with their palms up on your knees. That's Hridaya. One that's easy to do that I also really love is called Lotus Mudra. So the Lotus Mudra is for grounding. It's to help you combat feelings of inadequacy, sadness, isolation. With the Lotus Mudra, we put our hands flat together like this. Keep the edges, and I think I've shared this one with you before because I think we use this also maybe for the sacral chakra. So it works for that as well, right? Because what we're trying to do is release the sense of isolation and inadequacy. So hands together. You're going to keep your pinkies and your thumbs tight together. You're going to open up your fingers in the middle, your 3 middle fingers, your ring, your index, and your middle finger open up to the shape of a lotus, right? That's what you're mimicking here with your hands. So your palms stay together, your pinky and your thumb stay together, your fingers open up. You have a lotus. Now you can hold this in front of your heart and breathe, meditate, breathe, say your mantras. You can also bring your forearms together and literally raise it over your head, right? So forearms together, lotus goes over your head. And that's sort of an opening of the back of your heart is what that's supposed to symbolize. 3rd mudra is called Kapitha. Kapitha mudra is about moving energy in your body, particularly the flow between the heart chakra and the sacral chakra. So make a fist, take your thumbs, stick your thumbs between your index finger and your middle finger. All right, so make a fist, thumbs between index and middle fingers. Your left hand goes to your heart. Your right hand goes down to your sacral chakra, to the space between your pelvis and your belly button. Breathe. Meditate, repeat your mantras, whatever it is. But this is a motion to help create kind of connectivity between your sacral chakra and your heart chakra, increasing awareness. And the idea is partnership, actually. This is one to use if the heart chakra issue you are wrestling with has to do with partners, with a partner. The idea is kind of bringing the flow and the connection between 2 parts of your body. All right, if you're into gemstones, meditating with gemstones, collecting gems, whatever it is that you're doing, the gemstones for your heart chakra are jade, aquamarine, my favorite because it's my birthstone, peridot, and rose quartz. Rose quartz is a pink stone, right? But again, very much represents the heart and compassion. If you're into essential oils, again, these are my favorites: eucalyptus, jasmine, and rose. So if you're burning essential oils, then those would be the three you would want to use if what you're focused on is opening up your heart chakra. So the heart chakra really does come back to trust and self-love. And that's why that first question I asked you, are you hot? Tell me yes or no in the chat, ladies, if you're feeling hot. Are you hot? Are you sexy? Do you feel it? These are the things that you want to be doing, that you want to be practicing to cultivate in yourself this sense of, yeah, I own me. I know who I am. I trust myself. I am all these wonderful things. And when I can feel that about myself, I can open up myself to receive and embrace others. It is when we feel these things in ourselves, right? When we stir up that hot, sexy, fun energy, that we exude that goodness to others. And that's what people are drawn to. If you've walked into a networking event, like I talked about how much I hate them, but when you walk into a room, who are you drawn to? You are drawn to the person who is laughing, who is smiling, who is the most open and the most receptive to the other people in the room. We're just drawn to them. Those are the people we want to connect to. So if you are like Joyce and you are not yet feeling the whole I am a hot, sexy mama at any age, then I want you to work with your heart chakra. Dedicate some time this week to really practicing. Again, use the tools, because like I said, it's not that the tools are magic. It's not that you're going to meditate one day and you're going to use the mudra and you're going to feel wonderful. You might not. It's not that you're going to suddenly collect these gemstones and your life is going to change. It's the practice. It's the practice of focusing your attention on what you want to grow and change. And when we put our attention on something, we change it. We grow it. We nurture it. That's what we want to be doing. Rachel keeps a piece of rose quartz. Oh, hold on, that moved. Rose quartz on your desk to keep a calm mind and spirit. And others have commented, yeah, rose quartz is great for that. Clear quartz is actually also great as a centering stone, right? For calmness, for kind of mental clarity. Rose quartz is great because rose quartz, being about compassion, means that you're also compassionate with yourself and compassionate with others. So take some time to spend with your heart chakra, because if you are not truly feeling love and trust for yourself, then there's no way you can share that with others. We get stuck, we get trapped, and we start pulling in and playing small out of protectionism, which means we are not showing up in the best way we can. We're not offering that to anybody. Like I said, you can't have it both ways. You can't just protect yourself from some things and not others. It's not how our emotions work. If we are shutting down emotions, if we are shutting down access to ourselves in certain areas, you are shutting down yourself in all areas. We don't pick and choose. We think we do. We think we compartmentalize and that we pick and choose. And no, I'm open here and with this person, but I'm totally closed off over here. It's not quite how that works. We have boundaries. That's a different thing, to keep the negative out that we want out, to protect the positive that we want to protect. But having a boundary is not the same thing as shutting down. And that is the difference that we need to practice. I can have an open heart and I can still have a boundary around somebody whom I know I cannot trust with my heart, because they've proven that already. But that's not the same thing as blocking somebody before they even get a chance. So if you would like to talk more about your heart chakra, opening that up, creating a plan around your energy and how you use it, or anything around just showing up and being a leader in your life, then as always, I invite you to the Dirty Girl Mini Dig. So drop the word dig in the chat. We will do a 15-minute coaching session to get you one step closer to whatever your goal is, whether that's around opening your heart chakra, around any of the other chakras, or just talking about building your confidence, building leadership skills, getting that next promotion or raise, or going after that new job. That is what we are about here in this group. always love spending time with you on Tuesdays, ladies. So thank you very much for joining me. If you'd like to have that free coaching conversation, just drop the word dig in the chat below and I will reach out to you and we will get that scheduled. In the meantime, go open your hearts and have a fabulous Tuesday.